Today we're gonna talk about 3 of your best dumbbell exercises for legs. So if you're stuck at home and there's another, can't say this stuff. Here's what you need to do, get a good leg pump. Anyway, 3 exercises: dumbbell lying hamstring curls, goblet squats, and a lunge variation. So guys, without further ado, keep you guys glued to the screen, ears glued to the speakers, and let's learn some dumbbell shit. Okay guys, so here's my reasons behind the 3 exercises that I picked, so I don't hear of you guys in the comments section be like, what about RDLs? I'm like, here's why we're not doing RDLs. We're doing lying hamstring curls with the dumbbells, which is going to isolate the F out of your hamstrings. And because you're in a plantar flex position or toes pointed while you're doing it, basically the only way you should be doing a wader curl is with your feet. I'll show you why. Either way, we're gonna put more emphasis in direct isolation to the hamstrings. Then we move on to goblet squats. We're getting a combination of hip and knee flexion. So we're gonna get a lot of quads as well as glutes and hamstrings. Hamstrings when you're loading it down. And then lastly, when we're getting into the lunges, we're gonna have a lot more glutes and quads. So we're getting our hamstrings in an isolated way. If we're doing RDLs, we're basically doing like half of a squat. Because when we're looking at RDLs are basically a combination of hamstrings, glutes, and erectors, helping us get into a extended position at our hips. So when it comes to like overlapping movements, putting in RDLs at the end of this exercise would just be, it would defeat the purpose of trying to be a minimalist and taking the best exercises and exercise selection to give you the best workout you can at home. And that's why we're not doing RDLs. So let's get right to it. When we're doing dumbbell lying hamstring curls, the same rules apply if you're actually doing lying hamstring curls on a machine or your at-home bench if you have one. Where our goal is to make sure we keep our hips driven to the floor and stretching the hamstrings out while we start to flex at the hamstring. So setting this thing up can be a little bit of a tricky thing, but I'm gonna give you guys an easy way to do it. So number 1, we're gonna put this on the ground like this. We're gonna sit over top of it because we know where it is, all right? We're gonna kind of walk ourselves down and get ourselves on the ground, and then we're gonna look back and be like, where's it at? Where'd it go? Shoot. If you want to get a mirror, I'm just joking. Do not get a mirror and be doing this. I mean, if you have one, just don't do it. Anyway, so what we want to do is make sure that we take this weight and it goes right in the middle or arch of our foot. So basically you want the weight to sit right here. So see, there's like a little gap in my shoe. That's where the dumbbell handle is going to go. Very, very simple. That's our goal. We don't want to have it up here. Putting it up here would be like doing wader curls on your fingertips. Okay, now, so we want to make sure it sits in here. So once we are on our stomach, what we want to do is I can find the weight. I'm going to slide back a bit. And then right now I know that I'm touching both sides and it's right in the middle. Now while I'm here, I can have my head on my hands like this, or I can be like this, or I don't know, wherever you're gonna be, you're gonna be cursing my name, being like, why did I try to do this? The pump is unreal, but damn, it hurts in a good way. So from here, we're gonna point our toes because we can't have them dorsal flex because that's what happens. So we have to, yeah, you see that? Yeah, you just saw it, right? Hey, that's called muscle mind connection, what's up? Anyway, we're working to get you there. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you so you can just know how to use your feet like they're hands. Right now I'm throwing up gang signs. All right, anyway, so we want to be in this plantar flex position, which means toes are pointed, which if you look at my calves right now, they are on just in this position. And that's why lying dumbbell hamstring curls are amazing, because you're getting great activation all the way from the calf to the back of the knee, right to the glutes, right to the hamstrings, all the way up. So while we're here, plantar flex, we pull the weight up, and then we're gonna end up being in a dorsal flex position. My hips are still driven down. And then while we push it out, we're gonna point those toes out all the way. And your end position can be when you feel the ground a little bit, boom, and we do it again. Come back up. And then pointing the toes. And when you're doing this, you have to do it in a way where we have to just flex through. Because if we don't, what happens is we throw this thing up, boom, like that, and it comes out and it lands on your back, and you're like, oh, my back hurts. So flex this movement up. The great thing about this is the only way I can hold this together isn't necessarily just with my feet. I have to adduct. So you're looking at like a multi-purpose movement or a multi-muscle movement where we're like really getting the best bang for our buck. Not only do we have hip adduction, we have Plantar flexion of the ankle, and then we have this great activation through our calves and through our hamstrings. So if you literally sat there and just push your legs together and point your toes, you'd be like, damn, this shit hurts. It's unbelievable. Remember just to do that while adding a load. And there's a hamstring curl. Now, once you've done doing these, you're gonna probably do about maybe we're gonna do 4 hard sets of hamstring curls. We're gonna make sure that these reps are nice and controlled, so we're gonna control it up. And we're gonna do like a 3-second down. We're gonna pause at the bottom, nice stretch, and we're gonna bring it back up into 3 seconds down. And we're gonna do 10 to 15 reps. That's a minimum of 30 to 45 seconds with this. And you're gonna decrease the weight little by little to make sure that you can get a great pump, but also controlling the movement and keeping the integrity of your form. Once you've done that, and you're like, oh damn, this workout's finished. My hamstrings are finished. You're like, not yet. We got goblet squats next. Hey, what's up guys? A lot of you guys that watch the video but not subscribe, so do your boy a favor and subscribe to the channel and hit that post notification button as well too, so next time I put a video, you'll be the first ones to get it. Hopefully by now you guys like the video, so if you do, hit the like button. Back to the show. Okay, next we have goblet squats. So after your hamstrings are pretty much primed, actually pretty much hamstrings, your calves, and probably your feet too, your adductors, everything's primed to go. We're gonna go into our goblet squat. So a couple hacks you can do. Depending on what weight you have at home, give yourself a little bit of help. Instead of having the weight all the way to the bottom, you can do 1 of 2 things. If you have a bench, you can put the weight on the bench and then get yourself from there. But let's pretend this is the bench and we're gonna stack the weights like this, right? You're like, oh my God, it does not look safe at all. It's safe, don't worry about it, relax. We're not telling you to hold this and balance it. We're just gonna pick it up and go. So we have our weight. You can grab 2 weights to stack it so we don't have to go so low and end up having to do a dumbbell curl before we actually start. So while we're here, we're gonna get ourselves set up just to pick the weight up. So we're here, we're underneath, and we're gonna pick up. And then from here, we're gonna set ourselves up again. Now from here again, guys, feet are gonna be shoulder width apart, toes at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, ripping the floor with your feet like there's a piece of paper, just to make sure your knees align with your toes. Butt's gonna go back, still engage your core, shoulders back and away from your ears. We don't wanna hold this like this, because if we start holding like this, we're gonna be focused too much on holding this together by adducting. And this happens a lot, and then when we're doing this, what happens after that? We get this. And then when we're doing this and this, then we get this. And we have this weird looking goblet squat from here, right? We wanna use this dumbbell and hold it in a way where it's gonna naturally depress our shoulders by pushing ourselves down like this. If I hold it like this, I'm trying to hold it like this. I'm basically doing a really terrible chest fly. So underneath, remember that. Not here, here. So a couple things too when we're doing goblet squats. If again you have some issues with flexibility in your ankle or dorsal flexion, basically how well your knee can travel over your toe, get yourself maybe some wedges, a 5-pound plate, or if you have squat shoes, even better, but you don't want to break the bank, these are good enough. So make sure we're gonna set these things up like your feet are going to be naturally. Then we're on, we're down, we get the dumbbell, pick ourselves up, readjust ourselves, open up from here, and then we're squatting down and up. Controlling it down, and then up. Now, when you're done, finish at the bottom. Don't go from here and then, I'm done, and then put it down. This is a good way to hurt your back when you disengage at the end. Your set isn't finished until we're here, we're up, and then we're gonna go from here, and we can put it right back down here, or from here, drop it. Right? Don't drop the weight from the top position. It's something that happens all the time, and I see it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my back hurts after I did a really, really good set of goblet squats. Now, from there, 3 hard sets of 10 to 15 reps, slow and controlled, pausing at the bottom, down 3 seconds, nice pause in an active position, and then explode up with control, squeezing at the top. We don't need to hip thrust, don't need any of that. We just need full extension in the knees and the hips without hyper extension, right? Let's move on to the next one, which will be a lunge variation for me. We're gonna do some Bulgarian split squats.
I hate you, Johnny. Bulgarian split squats crazy as fuck. Why you nuts like that, dog?
Couple things we wanna do when we're doing Bulgarian split squats. Now, a couple things we wanna point out. Whether you hold 1 dumbbell or 2 dumbbells doesn't necessarily matter as long as we are controlled and balanced. So if anything, I'm gonna hold the dumbbell on the side of the hand, the opposite hand of the opposite leg, so we're not getting in the way. So for instance, if I'm doing this from here and I'm up here, look, I'm not in the way. It's not gonna get in the way of anything. If it's over here, I gotta be like, oh shit, you know, it's kind of a little awkward, and your weight is all on this side, right? We wanna basically counterbalance the weight by being on the opposite side of the opposite leg. Okay, so a couple mistakes people make when they're doing Bulgarian split squats. Number one, and we'll get this set up after, but you don't wanna have your hip loaded and flat. You need to have it already in a place that when you sit back, you're gonna load the hip. And here's what I mean. When you walk, your weight goes side to side. When people do Bulgarian split squats, they set themselves up and they're locked in over here, and then they're traveling like this, and then everything's pushing this way. You wanna make sure your weight is open, so your feet are gonna be shoulder width apart, pushing your other foot back so it's shoulder width apart. So if I'm getting down here, you can see that I have good spacing in between and not tight roping, which would be like this. And then now I'm feeling imbalanced. So give yourself some help by being balanced from there. Now, from here, my hips are gonna shoot back and knee forward when I'm going up and through. I don't wanna be here stiff like this, my legs basically locked right out. I wanna already be in this position so I can load my hip down and then up and keeping the weight on my glute and my quad. And that's one reason why we're doing these and not doing Romanian deadlifts. We are gonna get a lot of glute in this exercise by doing Bulgarian split squats. So when we're setting up, a couple of things we wanna make sure. Make sure the bench that you have is low enough, or however you're setting things up, that your knee can come close to touching the ground. This is a little high for me, but it's not as bad as I can get close to the ground. So you can see my knees close to the ground. Now, at the bottom of my position, here's a big mistake that we have all the time. People are going back and they're hipping back here, and there's not much knee flexion this way. There's a lot more glute flexion, right? Hip flexion. So what I wanna do is make sure that my feet are set up. So I'm gonna push my foot back on, and then when I'm going down, my knee and hip are gonna go at the same time, and then up. Now, if you see me go down, I go down to my knees over my toe. You don't have to go back like this and push up. Watch your foot. Find a place on the ground so you keep your balance, and kind of use your feet as your gauge and your set point. So you're making sure your knee goes over your toe, and then we're back up. And that's all we need. Do not go too far back, because then we're doing this weird hip flex thing. And this feels absolutely terrible on my damn hip. I'm sure some of you guys out there are doing it and feel the same way and probably don't do it anymore, because like my hip sucks, hate this exercise, it's terrible, probably because you're setting up wrong. All right guys, so take that exercise to about 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps. Take the same approach as you did with the goblet squats. Control it down, 3 seconds down, a slight pause at the bottom, and a nice contraction to the top and back down, and finish your workout. And that is gonna give you a great leg workout for you guys at home that only have dumbbells, and hopefully a bench. And for more videos, guys, check these guys out. And until next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.